Good morning, everybody. Or afternoon. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend, and I'm sure you're all thrilled to be back to another Monday, to another week of review, of learning, of reviewing and doing all these wonderful things that we've done before or sometimes didn't, and whatever. And I'm just thrilled to be your guide to this level of boredom. Now today we're going to do a comprehension exercise, which we normally do on Mondays, mostly because I feel like when we come back from a weekend, we're reinvigorated, we're full of energy, and we're ready to learn something, something where we go over something and find the truth in it, such as a comprehension exercise. Also, these things are really easy to make, and I'm really lazy over the weekends. Now you choose which one of those is more accurate. Now today we're going to look at something that may be in the exam. I'm going to stop saying this, it's in the exam. And general knowledge questions, so you need to remember some of the facts from this. Again, I wouldn't have put this in. I don't think there's any value in remembering this stuff, but it's in there, and we've got to make the most of it. Now I skipped this section because I think it's incredibly boring. We don't now have that luxury. We've got to do it. Now I'm slightly concerned that listening to this and reading about this stuff is going to push you over the edge. I'm afraid that it's going to make you drop into a coma and perhaps die from sheer boredom. But I'm willing to take that risk. So we're going to go through this today. Normal way, I'm going to record myself talking through it. I'll try and stay, mostly stuck to the point. Try, and you guys can follow along. It's page 183 in your books, those of you that have your books, and if not, go to Google Classroom. You'll find the a dot. I always say that wrong. A doc document with all the pictures of the pages laid out in it. For those of you that want to follow along. Now this time, same as usual, I want you to do the questions in the book. We'll then go through the answers together. And also, I'm giving you a quiz which reinforces all of the points I want you to remember, ready for the exam. Now, the questions in the exam are not hard. They're really not hard. But I want to give you a chance to get yourself a 100% score. So we are going to do this today. We're going to go through this comprehension exercise. And that only leaves one more for us to do next week, providing we're actually doing this online and not back in class. We really don't know. So fingers crossed. I don't know which way to fingers cross this. I don't know whether we're hoping to be back in time for the exam or we're hoping not to be. At this point, I really don't know. I don't see, if I'm honest, I don't see much value in getting back to school just in time for an exam that we've not really been trained for. I don't see any point in it. But I would like schools to reopen, but I don't see any value in reopening the school just in time for the break. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Nothing about this has been logical anyway, so who cares? Right, so what we're going to do, as I say, I'll read through it. Now, I don't know anything about this stuff. Normally, when I do these things, I introduce the topic. I can give you some insight into it. But all this is about childhood games that were played in Malaysia. So I know nothing about that because I was never a child growing up in Malaysia. I've never even been to Malaysia. A couple of my friends have. Some liked it, some hated it. I think it's true of any country. Some people love, some people hate anything. So this is some basic childhood games based on homemade toys. And if we go back far enough in any culture, and I don't mean very far, we get back to sort of homemade toys and games. When I grew up, we were quite radical. We played with other children. We actually played together. We socialised. I remember going around the street, knocking on people's doors. Hello, can Steve come out to play? And that's what we did. We knocked on other people's doors. We had our mates. We'd go around there. We'd play with our toys, or we'd just run around the street. We had games like hide and seek. Where we called it 40-40. You'd count to 44, turn around and try and look for your friends, and you could come away from you had a lamppost or a point, and you'd come away from it slowly, and you had to run back to the lamppost and say, I see you, if you'd found them, and if they could run to the lamppost before that, they beat you. And we play this stupid stuff all day long, and loved it. Kids do. I think we've lost something of value now that we're all playing with phones and laptops. I mean, and I'm not innocent of this. I mean, James is sitting in there right now watching movies on a laptop because here I am. I mean, this is Friday. I'm recording this on Friday, so I'm I'm busy. I'm facing 3 hours now. I've got 3 hours of work. So I'm making the videos now so that I can be processing them while I do the classes, because I can't do anything else. So I'll be processing the videos ready for Monday. And I don't have time. I don't have time to spend with him. So, and there's no children around here. So unfortunately, this is the reality for most parents. I'm busy all day Saturday. I'm going to try and take him to the shops on Sunday. But this is the reality for working parents. Now, when I was young, we didn't have feminism. We had equality, but we didn't have feminism. Feminism has a lot to answer for. It's ruined a lot of the childhood experience, and by that I mean, basically, it's a trick. It was always a trick. What happened is women fought for their right to be in the workplace, but they didn't want to be in the workplace collecting rubbish. They wanted to get the high up jobs. So slowly those jobs opened up and the whole of the labour force opened up, and what we actually ended up with was doubling the workforce. We literally doubled the workforce, but, which was obvious, we halved the wages. Now when I was young, my dad went to work, pretty basic job. I mean, he was a computer and, he was an engineer. Eventually he was a computer engineer. When I was really young, he was a normal engineer working on machinery. Then he developed an interest in computers and went on from there. But he earned enough money to raise a family, pay off the mortgage. We had new cars, we had holidays. We weren't rich by any means, but we had a good life. And nowadays, that's impossible. Nowadays, anyone living in the house has to work, even the children. As soon as you're 16, basically you're going to work. If you're not in full-time education, you need to go out and get a job. Both parents now have to work just to be able to pay rent, because the idea of a mortgage is pretty much over. And to put that in perspective, me and my brother were left a lot of money in England. A lot of money. We sold a house and got half of it each. And we didn't have enough money to put down a deposit on a house. We couldn't buy a house, even between us, because we looked at flipping a house, which is where you buy a house, a broken down one, clean it, sort it, and then sell it on at a profit. It's flipping it. And we couldn't even do that. So what chance have you got of getting on the housing ladder? A friend of mine back in London, he was a professional. He was a professional educator, but he was an adult educator, and his wife is one of the curators at the London Museum, which means she goes in and arranges the displays. Between the two of them, they couldn't raise enough money to get a deposit on a mortgage, so they had no chance of a good start in life. So now, I think he's 50 and she's in her late 40s, and all they've managed to do is get a 20% mortgage. Now that means that they borrow enough money to buy 20% of a house. 20%. And the way it works is it's a real scam. So basically a building company comes in and they build a house, and you borrow from the bank 20%, so you own 20% of that house, and then you buy it off the building company. And what happens is your 20% pays for all the construction costs. So the building company walk away with all of their costs covered. So it costs them nothing at all to build and invest in a house. Then they charge you rent forever. So you pay 80% rent for the rest of your life to live in the house that you own 20% of. So basically you're paying their profits forever, and you're also paying the bank back at a huge rate of interest forever. So you never own anything except a debt. And they fell into this, and these are two professional people who looked up their options and thought, well, this is all I have. And the idea that they had was that their 20% stake in the house might go up. If it goes up in money, then they make some small profit when they sell their 20% of the house. But years later, they've discovered no one's buying a 20% stake in a house. Nobody wants 20%. They want 100% or they want nothing. So nobody's investing in the 20% mortgage. They can't sell what they've got. They're stuck with it. And of course, negative equity means the prices, especially because of COVID, the prices have come down. So they've lost most of their investment. So yeah. And that's what it's like. And that's what we've got now with children. We've got this whole situation where the world has become really, really hostile to the human condition. And the human condition is all about freedom and expression and basically just enjoying the world. And you can't do that anymore. You're not allowed to have time to do that anymore. You're told that everybody's out to get you, so you've got to be you've got to be fighting everybody else all the time. You've got to, if you're a woman, the men are your enemy. If you're black, whites are your enemy. If you're white, someone else is your enemy. And it's just nonsense. So we've got everybody fighting each other, and we've got children being the ultimate victims of all this. So when we read this piece out, basically we're looking at this and we're saying these children used to play with these toys. Now we're looking back at them and thinking, it's a bit quaint. I'm glad I didn't have to live like that. But really they were better off. And I've seen this in the province when James used to live in Takau. And when he was very young, I had the option to bring him back to Phnom Penh. But what was the point? I mean, we weren't making any money, so he would have had to stay in the house with us, with nothing, no family to play with, no kids, no nothing. So for a long time when he was young, I really did believe it was best off to let him stay where he was, where he had 30 or 40 friends to play with every day, and he was having a proper childhood. And I really do believe he was better off. Now he's back living with me because he needed to learn English, and we had to get him started on that. And he's not happy. He's happy enough to live here, but he keeps saying how bored he is and how he wants to play with kids. And of course, that's totally normal, natural, and healthy. So these kind of games, although they look kind of out of date to us, are probably a better way. They're probably a better way for kids to be raised. They're probably a more human way to be. And we certainly shouldn't look down on them. I'm sure most of you, if I could take away your phones for a day and give you these toys and someone to play with, you'd probably have a great time. And that's probably the greatest tragedy of the modern age, that we've gained all of our technology, but we've lost so much more. And trust me, this is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. People have got to wake up to the idea that we're human first, and we're all in this together. It doesn't matter if you're male, if you're female, black, white, Asian. None of this stuff matters. All that really matters is that we're human and we make the most of it. And it's kind of nice to read these stories about these kids who are doing exactly that. So let's have a look at the text. Try not to fall into a coma and die of boredom. But if you do, well, these things happen. Okay, so page 183, let's have a quick read through this. Kampung pastimes. As exciting as that sounds, Kampung pastimes extract. There isn't even a credit to anyone that wrote this. Every Malaysian is a Kampung kid at heart, so thinks Lat, Malaysia's favourite cartoonist, who has a series of books contrasting the easy, down-to-earth Kampung lifestyle with the cellular phone and paper-punctuated life of the modern yuppie. Yuppies, for those of you that don't know, and this is a very old book, were YUP, Young Urban Professionals. So these were people living in cities who were upwardly mobile. Despite the city dwellers' perfectly groomed image and array of electronic devices, can you imagine how much worse that is, every holiday in Malaysia results in airports and highways jammed with city residents returning to their villages, balik kampung. And it used to be true here. When I first arrived, people would say to me, nobody lives in Phnom Penh, no one comes from Phnom Penh, everybody goes back to their real homes during the holidays. And I've seen a big change in the years, almost decades since I've been out here. Now the holidays, the last 2 years, have been almost ignored. And I feel like you're undermining your own lifestyle, basically. You're losing your history, and you need to be careful of that. Their kampung are their roots, where they slept on the coolest mats and ate the freshest foods from the land and enjoyed the most economical yet heartwarming nostalgic pastimes, like top spinning. This is exactly what it sounds. Throughout most of the country, top spinning is a teenage pastime, but in the Malay kampung of the northeast coast, a champion spinner is the village hero. Okay. The record time for spinning is about 2 hours. 2 hours, my God, I can't do anything for 2 hours. Requiring great strength to spin, tops vary from a simple wooden cylinder to fantastic streamlined discs with spindles trimmed with gold inlaid gold. Yeah. And large ones can be as big as dinner plates. With the harvest completed and all the rice stored, farmers traditionally settle down to watch and bet on the top local team. Contest features either the endurance spinners or the strikers who spin down 7-kilogram fighting tops faster than a speeding bullet. Perhaps this was the root of things like those Japanese toys. where they would spin these tops into each other and knock them off. Sounds like this was the root of it. Attackers need both skill and muscle as the defending team contrives spinning formations to eliminate the attacker's top. See, this is why we skip this. Spinning small dinner plates at one another. Wow. Kite flying. Another traditional entertainment most popular in Malaysia's northeastern states, kite flying was enjoyed in the 15th century in Malaysia. Today, great pride is still taken in the design and handcrafting of each aerodynamic piece of art. The paper wu, or kite, comes in creative and unique shapes such as the crescent-shaped wu bulan, moon kite, with a wingspan and length of up to 3 meters. The batik-converted wu cantik, and oh my god, and the Wei Kuching cat kite, now the logo for Malaysian Airlines. Bow-shaped bamboo pieces are often attached underneath a kite to produce a melodic humming sound, a dengung. Contests of all levels were and are still held for serious kite flyers to vie for height, manoeuvring skills, design, ability to stay airborne, and quality of sound. Today, international kite festivals are held in Malaysia, drawing cosmopolitan participants from both European and Asian countries. Doubtful. Sepuk takraw. This traditional Kampung game has at its focus a ball about the size of a large grapefruit made of woven rattan strips and weighing 170 grams. The aim of this game is to keep the ball in the air for as long as possible by passing it from one player to another using all parts of the feet, thighs, knees, shoulders, and any other part of the body except for the forearms and the hands. Wouldn't it be more fun if it was a big lump of concrete with nails sticking out of it? Now that I would watch. Scores are given for the number of kicks made before the ball falls. Again, I'd watch it my way. Like volleyball in many aspects. The game requires acrobatic flexibility and practice skill, and it's exhilarating to watch. Kongkak. This game requires more than physical skill. Comparable to backgammon or checkers, Kongkak substitutes the board and plastic chips with a wooden boat-shaped board and marbles or seeds. The Kongkak board has 2 rows of holes in which the marbles are placed, and the objective of the game is to have the most marbles to finish. I'm slowly losing my marbles as I read this. Other games. Marbles are also a favourite game in itself, especially among Kampung children. However, the best childhood memories come from games provided by nature. Wow. The pea-sized red saga. This is so stupid. So this is why we skip this. The pea-sized red saga seeds from the large saga tree, for example, are used in a game of accuracy, much like marbles. The game of pick-up sticks is played with coconut twigs or satay skewers. Little cloth pyramids are filled with raw rice and expertly flipped and caught in a favourite girls' game of 5 stones. That's sexist, man. Colourful chicken feathers are stuck in a flat rubber disc, and the capter resembles a shuttlecock, is kept in the air while being nimbly kicked using only the instep of one's foot. Even conker-like rubber seeds are the centre of numerous imaginative Kampung games, which are all still fresh in the minds of almost every Malaysian. Just go ahead and ask, or not. Thank God that's over. Sounds dreadful. So, go ahead, answer the questions 1 through 15. Questions 1 through 15, and then we'll go through the answers together.